What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my breakdown and predictions for Dana White's Contender Series Week 1.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another season of Dana White's Contender Series. Really looking forward to 5 extra fights, on a Tuesday. Nothing better than some DWCS. So really looking forward to breaking it down this year. I had a couple people message me and comment on some of my videos asking, you doing Dana White's Contender Series content? Where's the DWCS picks? Well, they're coming every Monday. Every Monday, Monday afternoon is where I'm aiming. Going to tape the majority of these fights on Sunday. I was up late last night, 3 a.m., finishing up some of these fights. And so, all the work's done. Really looking forward to this season. Before we get started, a couple things. If you guys can please leave a like on the video. It is always much, much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss out on other content throughout the week. And now's a great time to sign up on dfsbythenumbers.com. So what I'm adding new this year is going to be some extra DWCS content. So on Tuesday, I'll be posting my DWCS fighter notes, my betting breakdown video. It's going to be kind of like the video I do for the UFC cards on Saturdays, where I go through all the odds and talk some bets. And then I'm also going to do a short best bet write-up where I give the prediction, the round, the method, and the best bet. If you're already on the website, not going to be any extra charge there. But yeah, check it out, dfsbythenumbers.com, if you do want some extra content for some DWCS, or if you just want to support me more. I do put a lot of work into this. I had a tape probably over 100 fights yesterday, just with UFC Vegas 78 and then the DWCS fights. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. Really looking forward to this season. If you guys have not checked out Prize Picks, be sure to check out some Prize Picks. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. I'm pretty sure they do Prize Picks for Contender Series. I'm pretty sure they did last year, so would be nice if they did it this year as well. And if you do want to check that out, be sure to use that promo code there. But yeah, other than that, I say we get right into it, and we're going to break down some fights here. So we're going to start from bottom to top, and we're going to start with Kevin Borjas going against Victor Diaz, and let's start with Victor Diaz here. So Victor Diaz, he is 32 years old, 5'6", 11-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Kevin Borjas is 25 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach, 8-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So I just put in the odds today. I don't like to look at the odds until I'm done with all my research. And kind of to my surprise, Victor Diaz is currently sitting as a minus 325 favorite, and Kevin Borjas is sitting as a plus 250 underdog. So more about Victor Diaz. He does train at American Top Team. This is a guy in Victor Diaz where there's no notable wins or losses, but he does have a win against Cleveland McLean, which I did recognize. No relation to Clint, though, from the Die Hard MMA podcast. This guy's a decent finisher, Diaz, with a 9% knockout rate, a 55% submission rate, overall finish rate of 64%. So some notes here I have on Victor Diaz. So he's very wild in the striking. He will swing recklessly to close distance and get the takedown. Very good grappler. This guy's a black belt in BJJ. Was really impressed with the grappling of this dude. But he does leave a lot to be desired in the stand-up. He will walk forward like a zombie with his hands down. I remember watching this one sequence where it looked like it was slow motion, where he was just walking forward with no strike and defense whatsoever until he closed the distance, got to his opponent, and took him down. He's strictly looking to get the fight down to the mat. Just has really no interest in striking by the looks of it, and I doubt he'll have any interest in striking in this matchup against Kevin Borjas. So, solid wrestling for Victor Diaz. Once he does get the fight down to the mat, he is very, very dangerous, very good control on top. He will go for submissions and a loose position at times, and I've also seen him reverse, but when he's on his back, he's very dangerous, and he's always looking to finish the fight. I mean, this guy's no joke on the mat. His ground game definitely looks legit, but I do have concerns about, when or if he does get into the UFC, because I don't think the striking's that great, and I do think he does make some mistakes on the mat, which may not slide at the UFC level. But in this matchup, he might be okay. I think his cardio is a question mark, and that's going to also be something to mention here, and it's something to look out for in this fight. But overall, yeah, I think Diaz is pretty solid. It's just the ground game is what really impressed me out of Victor Diaz. Moving on to Kevin Borjas, this is a guy that is training out of Pitbull Martial Arts Center as far as I'm concerned, which is the same gym as, Claudio Puelles. I know Claudio Puelles is, doing some work with Killcliff, but, Puelles has been there. Enrique Barzola, I believe, trains there. This is a guy that does not have really any notable wins or losses. I don't think he's fought the best competition overall, but Borjas this guy's a finisher. This guy's a knockout artist at flyweight, which you typically don't see. A 100% knockout rate for Borjas. All of his wins do come by knockout. So some notes I have on Borjas. So he was actually supposed to fight Joshua Van here originally, and Joshua Van got called up to fight Zalga Sumagulov, and then he was actually supposed to fight someone else, and then apparently that dude had to pull out, and then in steps, Victor Diaz. So this is going to be his third opponent scheduled for this fight here. So like I said, he's finished all his wins, and he's been finished in his only loss, and that loss did come by submission, which I think is important in the second round. Borjas has one fight in a legit promotion, and he was finished in that fight. So I don't really know what to think of this guy, and his level of competition. He's starching these guys, but anytime he's fought somebody somewhat legit, I mean, he's getting crushed out there. So he has power on the feet though, and like I said, he's finished all of his wins by knockout. He should clearly have the striking advantage in this matchup because I don't think that's going to be that hard to do, and he absolutely needs to keep this fight upright. His lone loss that I was talking about when he did get submitted, he was head kicked though, for what it's worth, so he wasn't like taken down. He was head kicked, he got rocked, the opponent took his back and finished him shortly after. So final thoughts on this matchup. Victor Diaz, like I said, a -325 favorite. I think that's kind of wild just because there's not a ton of information there on Borjas. This is a striker versus grappler matchup. I think it's clear as day. I would like to know a little bit more about Borjas. There's literally two fights I found, and one of those fights was recorded with a toaster oven, so you really can't take much out of that fight. What I was impressed with overall was the grappling of Diaz, and I think this guy being a black belt, this guy training at American Top Team, I think people are very high on this guy, and if he's able to get this fight down to the mat, he should be able to style on Borjas here. But if it turns out Borjas has incredible takedown defense, because we literally don't know about Borjas' takedown defense, his ground game, nothing like that, because there's not a lot of footage out there on him. This guy's not fighting in great promotions. So I'm going to take Victor Diaz. I would caution anybody laying -325 on him. I think maybe the submission prop might be something to look at, but give me Victor Diaz. I'll take him to win by first round submission in this fight here. Moving on, we got a bantamweight fight. We have Reyes Cortez going against Payton. How's this pronounced? I wrote down how Talbott. Payton Talbott. We'll start with Payton Talbott here. So not sure on the age here. I want to say he's 20, like young, like 24, 25. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this guy's young. He's 5'10". Not sure on the reach as well. I try my best to find as much info as possible, but some of these guys, man, it's really hard to find info on these guys. He's 5-0 and obviously 5-0 in his only 5 fights. Reyes Cortez, he's 31 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach, 7-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll start with Payton Talbott. So Payton Talbott trains at Reno Academy of Combat, which is, I believe, in California. This is a guy that doesn't have any notable wins or losses, but he was fighting in Uriah Faber's fight promotion for what it's worth. Yeah, this guy Talbott, he does have a 100% finish rate, all come by knockout. Talbott does. So Talbott, he looks big for the division. Like I said, he's 5'10". This guy is absolutely going to have a reach advantage. You got to imagine, this guy's very, very long and rangy, and he uses his size to his advantage in there, which I like to see. So solid pressure on the feet, which I also like to see. He's willing to eat one to give one, and he has a very good shot on him. This guy can absolutely take a shot. Talbott has very sneaky power. Doesn't put a lot into his punches, but when he does land clean, he does hurt dudes. It's just nonstop pressure from this guy, from Talbott. He breaks dudes as the fight goes on. And what I like about Talbott is all of his knockouts come in the second and third round. Like he's like a Billy Q, right? Like in the first round, he's pressuring you, and then he starts to break you. You know, his opponents start to wilt, they start to slow down, and that's where he's getting his finishes, which I like out of him. So Talbott has solid takedown defense, but he was taken down in his last fight and did give up his back instantly. Talbott does defend the grappling well, but it was shown that he can't be taken down and he can't be controlled, and that might be a potential weakness out of Talbott. But like I said, the grappling defense seems to be very much on point from Talbott. This guy looks good, but he definitely can't be taken down. I worry about Talbott when he does fight somebody who can wrestle and wrestle for 15 minutes. You know, some guys are able to control him, take him down, but they start to gas out, and that's where he does do his best work and get the finish, right? So yeah, Talbott overall, I think he's pretty solid. Pretty decently big for the bantamweight division, very long for the bantamweight division, and like I said, he breaks you with the cardio, pressure, and pace, which is my personal favorite type of fighter. As far as Reyes Cortez, obviously Tracy Cortez's brother. We've seen him in the Contender Series before, training at Fight Ready MMA, which I love. Great gym there. Notable wins or losses. So he did lose to Christian Rodriguez on the Contender Series in 2021, and that was by decision. And then for what it's worth, he did beat Clayton Carpenter as an amateur as well. This guy, Cortez, he is a finisher. A 71% finish rate. All of those come by knockout. So this guy, Cortez, does have some power on the feet. So some notes I have on Cortez. So Cortez did do a solid job controlling C-Rod against the cage at times, but he was only 2 for 10, 20% on takedown attempts in that fight. And each time he was able to take down Christian Rodriguez, he was not able to control him, and that worries me a little bit here. And, was that because Christian Rodriguez is a very good fighter with an elite get-up game? Yeah, I think that could be, but the fact that Cortez was not able to have much success in terms of being able to control C-Rod is kind of a concern. Cortez has a lot of faith in his striking, which is, that's great. I think he's a really good striker, but I would really like to see Cortez wrestle more. He shot 10 takedowns on the Contender Series, but I watched his 2 fights after the Contender Series, and I don't think I saw him shoot 1 takedown, which is, a major red flag for me in this matchup. Like, Cortez, all of a sudden, he's relying on that striking, which, like I said, it's great. He's a great striker, but I would really like to see him wrestle in this matchup especially. He's going to be at a height disadvantage. I know that for a fact, and I'm like 99% sure he's going to be at like a significant reach disadvantage as well. So yeah, it would be very wise for Cortez to come in here to wrestle, but I don't know, is that doesn't really seem like that's part of the game plan for Cortez as of late. So we'll see. We have Cortez as a plus 130 dog and Talbott as a minus 150 favorite. Final thoughts on this matchup. Yeah, this matchup really confuses me overall. I thought I would be going with Cortez here, but if he doesn't wrestle, I really like the striking of Talbott. Talbott is going to have a height and reach advantage. Like I said, he uses his length very well. I like the cardio, the pressure, and the ability Talbott has to break people. Give me Talbott by decision, but I think this is a very close fight, especially if Cortez wrestles. I think this could be a very close fight. So minus 150 on Talbott. I don't love, quite frankly, like I said, I really thought I'd be going with Cortez here because I remember Cortez from the Contender Series, but, the fact that he doesn't wrestle as much as I'd liked has me going the other way. So give me Talbott to win. I'll take Talbott to win this fight by decision. Moving on, we have a heavyweight matchup here, and we have Caio Machado going against Kevin Szarflarski. We'll start with Caio Machado here, who is 29 years old, 6'4", 7-1-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Kevin Szarflarski, he is 28 years old, 6'6" with an 81.5-inch reach, 11-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at Caio first. I believe he trains out of Franco Kickboxing, which I think is in Canada. This is a guy that has really no notable wins or losses, Caio Machado, but he was supposed to fight Paulo Renato Jr. on the Contender Series last year. And apparently Caio had some visa issues or something along those lines. So we did not get to see him last year, but we are going to see him here against Szarflarski. So this is a guy that has a lot of knockout wins, 56% knockout rate, and then a 28% submission rate for an overall finish rate of 86%. So Caio Machado, very good finisher. So some notes I have on Machado. We talked about, the visa issues last year. Hopefully everything's good to go this year. He does look like kind of lost on the feet at times. He's very, very open to be hit. Don't think that's going to be an issue here against Szarflarski, but just something to mention in the future. Wild is like an understatement for this guy. Like, this guy's just very, very wild. He likes to get into a car crash, which is fun to see, but I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that style. Probably the worst striking defense I've ever seen in my life. But again, I'm not sure that matters here. And it's actually funny. I was watching this guy, and he was like backing up with his hands down and his chin up in the air. And then they pull up a graphic saying this guy's like the third best striking defense in the promotion. I was like, what? I mean, this guy's there to be hit. But yeah, apparently he has the third best striking defense in the promotion. I think, forget which promotion it was. Was it the BFL, something like that? But, and then what I also noticed about Machado is it kind of reminded me of like Khalil Roundtree before the Carl Roberson fight. He had that terrifying look in his eye, and he knew for a fact he was going to go out there and starch Carl Roberson. This guy Machado has some like weird, terrifying look on his face. Like, I don't know how to like something out of a horror movie. This guy has like a terrifying like smirk on his face, and quite frankly, I had to shut off the stream for a second because my goodness, I don't know if he was. I mean, apparently he really likes to be in there by the looks of it. So he can be controlled against the cage. He'll actually go for submissions, which is wild to see. 6'4" guy going out there, going for submissions. He will even lose position, being aggressive on the mat. Seems to be very active off his back and has a very dangerous guard. Overall, Caio Machado, yeah, I think this guy's kind of like a madman. I think this guy wants to get into a car crash and get into a war. And overall, a pretty exciting fighter, I'd say. Is he amazing? I'm not so sure, but exciting to say the least, which is nice. As far as Kevin Szarflarski, this guy, I'm not sure where he trains, but I've seen him at Jackson Wink. I've seen him, take pictures with, John Jones. I saw him take a pic with Francis Ngannou, training at Renzo Gracie Academy. I mean, this guy seems to be all over the place. This guy's out of Poland. This is a guy who is just massive, 6'6". I mean, this guy's huge. That's the one thing I noticed right off the bat. No notable wins or losses, just, fighting some low-level competition and handling them very accordingly with an 82% finish rate. About half of those finishes come by knockout, and then about half of those finishes come by submission. So a very good grappler on the mat. So, yeah, this guy's massive. I mean, it's not too often you see a 6'6" heavyweight go for heel hooks, but this guy does. I mean, this guy's grappling. I don't know. I mean, he looks very good in terms of the grappling. He doesn't seem interested really at all in the striking. I don't think he's like a terrible striker. It's just he's like very patient. He doesn't throw really nothing at all. It kind of just moves forward, very tactile one, just does a lot of nothing. Like these two and their striking styles, it couldn't really be any more different, to be honest. I did see him get a nice trip takedown and get on top, and he is obviously very heavy on top. If he does get on top of you, there's a good chance you're just not getting up. And like I said, his ground game actually looks legit, but it's kind of hard to tell because he's going out there and beating these very low-level guys. So I'm not sure if it's because he's fighting these nobodies or if this guy's actually like a next-level grappler. I'm not quite sure, but he's tapping these guys out very quickly for what it's worth. He does use his size very well, which you like to see from a big dude, 6'6". He pushes guys against the cage. The cardio isn't terrible, and yeah, this guy's not terrible. This guy's not terrible whatsoever. We have Szarflarski minus 125, Machado plus 105. Final thoughts. This fight is a mess. This fight is an absolute mess. I feel like we're missing a lot of information here. This is a dog or pass type fight for me, and for that reason, I will go with Machado with very little to no confidence. But I do like the strike in Machado much more. He's much more aggressive. He has that terrifying look in his face, like I said. And he's going to just try to make this a car crash on the feet. And if he can make that his fight, I think he can go out there and potentially get a finish. I think he can win minutes in the striking as well just by being more active, throwing more volume. One takedown may be all it takes, though, for Szarflarski to either, win minutes or win this fight. But what I like about Machado was he doesn't look like a fish out of water on the mat. He looks, he's very active, with his guard. He does throw up submissions, so I don't think Machado's some bum once he does get taken down. So even if he does get taken down, I feel like he'll, at the very least, be able to stay safe, or if he's able to work back up. And like I said, once this fight is on the feet, it is going to be Machado all day. So I'm going to hesitantly take Machado to win this fight. I'm going to take him to win by decision, actually. But I think if there is a finish, it is probably a Machado knockout at some point. But I would say Machado by like your typical greasy, sloppy, nasty heavyweight decision in this one. Moving on to this next fight, we have a lightweight fight. And we have Tom Nolan going against Bogdan Grad. We will start with one Tom Nolan here, who is 23 years old, 6'3", with a 73-inch reach, 5-0. And obviously 5-0 in his only 5 fights. We got Grad. Not sure on the age. He's 5'9". Not sure on the reach. He's 11-1 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So we'll start with Tom Nolan here. So it looks like he's training out of Team Compton Training Center, as far as I'm concerned, which is out of Australia. This is a guy who doesn't have, really any notable wins or losses, but he did fight Scott McGregor as an amateur, and just want to note that is no relation to Conor McGregor. This is a guy who does have a 60% finish rate, all by knockout, no submissions on his record. So he's fighting in the promotion Eternal MMA, which is a promotion in Australia, very good promotion in Australia. The only thing is, every time I think of Eternal MMA, I kind of think of Shannon Ross, which is terrifying, but it's a good promotion, Eternal MMA. So this is a guy that is massive for lightweight. He's 6'3", going to have a 6-inch height advantage here, which is kind of ridiculous. And you got to imagine he's going to have a significant reach advantage as well. And by the way, what's up with these 6'3" lightweights? Jalen Turner, Joel Alvarez, Ignacio Bahamondes. I mean, these guys are wild. So 6'3", lightweight. We'll see how that works out for him. I love the pressure and the power on the feet of Tom Nolan. This guy is very, very aggressive, can even be a little bit over-aggressive at times. He has a bunch of tools on the feet and uses his massive height and reach to his advantage at all times. He's nasty in the clinch and will land very hard knees and hard elbows. He can be taken down and controlled a little bit, which is very important to mention in this matchup. But his ground game looks solid. I've seen him put in some very bad spots on the mat, but he's always able to fight out of those bad spots. I think he got put into a deep armbar, was able to do his best Cody Durden impression and get out of that. He did show improved takedown defense in his last fight, which you like to see, and you're going to expect improvement. I mean, this guy's 23 years old. I'm not sure how old this Grad guy is, but Tom Nolan's 23 years old. You are going to expect to see improvements, and I think we did in his last fight, where he was able to stuff all the takedowns, keep it on the feet, and eventually just get the finish. When he does get on top, he has very good control, very good ground and pound, and nasty elbows. I saw him get on top of somebody and finish the fight shortly after. This guy's ground and pound, went on top, is very vicious, and I think he might be able to get on top in this matchup, and we'll kind of talk about why. He's taking on Grad, who is fighting out of Austria, out of, I think he's trains at ETTL Bros MMA, whatever that is, as far as I'm concerned, unless he's, moved in the last couple years. Wish I knew the age, wish I knew how old this guy was. I literally could not find that. So if you know, comment below. But yeah, no notable wins or losses from what I can tell. This guy is a decent finisher, 82% finish rate, 64% by knockout, 18% by submission. Some notes I have on Grad. He's going to be massively undersized here. I mean, what is he? 5'9". I mean, there's flyweights that are bigger than this guy. So they're going to look like they're in 2 completely different maybe like 3 weight classes away from each other. I mean, it's going to be just a significant size advantage on the Nolan side. So he looks to be a decent wrestler. He is looking to take the fight down to the mat early and often. He sticks to his opponents like glue. He will hold guys against the cage and work towards the back. Solid cardio from what I can see. His grappling looks to be solid, and he does have good ground and pound once on top. To be honest, I mean, I would have liked to see him have a little bit more success in the wrestling. He doesn't have the best ability to really get fights down to the mat. I mean, he can control guys, but... And on top of that, he's like making mistakes in there as well. I've seen him get reversed. I've even seen him get taken down like a lot. Like this guy's takedown defense is like an issue. Like offensively, his wrestling's okay, but defensively, he can be taken down and stuck on his back. And I think, Tom Nolan can even take advantage of that. So, yeah, I mean, I think, final thoughts on this matchup. We have Tom Nolan, slight favorite, -130. Grad, +110. Not entirely sure where this line did open up, but, I feel like, Grad might be a popular underdog this week because he does, in theory, have a path to victory, but I don't know. I wasn't too impressed with Grad. I kind of like Nolan here in this matchup. I don't think Grad seems terrible, nothing like that, but, with him being undersized, and I kind of feel like Nolan's going to be able to stuff a lot of these takedowns, even have success, maybe reverse Grad, get on top, and if Nolan gets on top of Grad, I think that could be it, or at range, I think Grad's really going to struggle here. So, yeah, give me Nolan here. I think Nolan's ground game is good enough to at least hang when he gets taken down. Work his way back up. And like I said, once it's on the feet, I think, Nolan should be the much better striker here, especially with the massive height and reach advantage. So I'm going to take Tom Nolan. I'm going to take him to win this fight by second round knockout in this one. But yeah, this should be probably one of the best fights on the card. And then moving on, we got the main event. We got Cesar Almeida going against Lucas Fernando. We'll start with Cesar Almeida. He's 35 years old, 6 foot, 3-0, 3-0 in his only 3 fights. We have Lucas Fernando, 26 years old, 6'3", with an 81.5-inch reach, 9-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So Cesar Almeida, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing some work at Extreme Couture, which I love to see, and we'll kind of talk about why, but I think that is the perfect gym for this guy. This guy, Almeida, is 35 years old, so he is coming in, if he's able to get the contract, he will be coming into the UFC very late in his career. But, this is a guy that, in terms of notable wins or losses, in MMA, none at all, but in kickboxing, he did go 1-2 against Alex Pereira. In 2013, they fought twice, and then they fought in 2015. He was able to pull off a win against Alex Pereira, which is always nice to see. So, I mean, this is a guy in his 3 fights. He's finished them all by knockout, all 3 of them coming in the very first round. Some notes I have on Almeida. He's still obviously doing MMA. I think he made his debut in like 2015 or 2016. He took like 3-4 years off, and then he has a couple fights after that. But yeah, only 3 fights for Almeida. But he has a very long, extensive kickboxing background. 47-8 kickboxing record with 27 knockouts. So he can be patient early on at times and likes to get reads and really pick his shots here. He brings very solid pressure as well. So he likes to back guys up against the cage and let off with huge shots. And he attacks the body and has very fast hands. So his last fight that I watched, he was very patient, and I swear, he landed 1 punch the entire fight, and that was the fight. He landed 1 shot, and the fight was over. I mean, this guy has serious power. I mean, he knocked his opponent out cold with just the very first punch that landed. This guy, Almeida, in 4-ounce gloves should probably not be legal. I mean, this guy has incredible power. But haven't really seen his takedown defense tested. He is solid in the clinch, though, and lands knees and elbows. He is very physically strong, it seems, for what it's worth. He's fought the worst competition I've ever seen, though, in MMA. These opponents in records includes 5-28, 0-0, and 0-0. But like I said, he's a very experienced kickboxer. But this is an MMA fight, so we'll see. Lucas Fernando, he's training out of Refit Pro Fighters out of Brazil, as far as I'm concerned. He's 26 years old. He's going to be younger by 9 years. No notable wins or losses, but he's actually fought some okay guys in LFA. So he's not going out there and fighting complete bums like Cesar Almeida is. So this guy, Fernando, is a finisher, 78% finish rate overall, 56% knockout rate, 22% submission rate. Some notes I have on Fernando. He is the LFA middleweight champ. He's going to be the much more experienced mixed martial artist in this matchup by a mile. I mean, it's not even close. So he has been to the second round and even the distance 3 times in his career, which is nice to know because Cesar Almeida, we've never seen that. Cesar Almeida has never seen a second round in MMA. So apparently he is a boxing coach and was formerly on the Brazil national kickboxing team. So solid striking accolades for Fernando himself. Very solid low kicks and pressures early. But yeah, he can't be backing up here. I mean, if he backs up against Almeida, he's probably getting knocked out. He can be a little bit over aggressive at times. And what I like about Fernando in this matchup is he can and will go for takedowns, which I think is very important here. But I don't think his wrestling's amazing. When he does get on top, he can control his opponent. His cardio seems to check out, and he can go the full 15. Some final thoughts I have on this matchup. I see why Fernando is the favorite in this matchup. He has way more paths to win. He is going to be the more well-rounded and more experienced mixed martial artist. But Almeida is so dangerous. As long as Fernando can come forward and make this an MMA fight, I like him to get the job done here. Don't back up. Push this guy against the cage. Take him down. And if he does do all that, I mean, he should win this fight. But Almeida is super dangerous. I wouldn't be laying minus 250. I mean, I think that's kind of ridiculous on Lucas Fernando here. And if you like if you like Almeida, I think the first round knockout prop could be something to look at. This guy has, dynamite in his hands. But Fernando's the better MMA fighter overall. So give me Fernando. I'm going to take him to win this fight by second round finish. I don't know whether it's a sub or a knockout. I'll say he wins in the second round, whether there's an early storm in the first, mixes in takedowns and, wears out Cesar Almeida. I like the fact that Almeida's training at Extreme Couture. Like I mentioned earlier, like these guys at Extreme Couture, they typically have very good takedown defense. And if it turns out Almeida's takedown defense is elite, which I don't know, I haven't seen anything of it. If it turns out his takedown defense is elite, like this could be a very winnable matchup for him. But I'm going to take Fernando to win this fight by second round finish, weathering that early storm. There you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be getting out more content on DFSbythenumbers.com tomorrow. My plan for Tuesday is once these odds drop, I'm going to do my best bet article, short write-up, prediction, the round, the method, the best bet. I'm going to do a betting breakdown video as well. And like I said, if you're already on the website, that will be no extra charge. But if you want to sign up, it's $10 a month, which, I mean, it's a very good deal considering you get all the UFC content, which is like 4 cards a month, and then 4 cards a month with Dana White's Contender Series, which comes out to like $1.50 per card. I mean, it's ridiculous. So check it out. It helps me out. I think it helps you guys out. Lots more content. But yeah, it should be a fun card here. DWCS Week 1, I think they did a really good job making it a very good card to kick off the season, and really looking forward to watching some fights on Tuesday. Best of luck, everybody. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy the fights Tuesday night. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.